Amherst, Massachusetts, birth Emily Dickinson, Joplin, Missouri, Langston Hughes, and St. Louis, Maya Angelou. Today, we're going to talk about our very own R. Robert Warren, who's just released his book of poems and prayers for the most difficult times in life. I'm Kimberly Warren, and you are watching Joy in Our Town. Robert Warren, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
It is so good to have you here. We are talking about how to cope with the most difficult times in life. And you've been an educator, a coach, an opera singer, a pastor, and now an author. Many people may not know that you even have difficult times. In a few short years, you have accomplished a lot of things. Can you let us know what was going on when you were writing this, and are these personal experiences that you've actually been through yourself?
Yeah, well, you know, when I was growing up, I grew up in the country, in a small rural town, Poplar Bluff, Missouri, and right outside of that town, called the Morocco Providence community, a farming community. And it was a pretty good life, you know me, riding the bicycle, having fun. But I went off to college, and I didn't study much in high school. So when I got to college, I faced a lot of difficult challenges, if you will, though I was recruited to play football at Missouri Western. And I was in the even when I was taking my ACT, I was sleeping during my ACT, didn't realize that I was being judged, but thank God I got in. But a lot of difficult things I went through in college, but it wasn't really until I launched out and I started a nonprofit learning center, and I started a church, and I left my job to start these two entities, and that's when the problems really started to rise, financial difficulties, and you have to find an outlet while you're going through these difficult times, so you don't, quote, lose your mind in the process.
Now, a lot of people in our country are dealing with financial stress, and you talked about a nonprofit center where there's not a lot of maybe stability there. A lot of people that are listening today are, you know, on the brink of financial disaster or bankruptcy. Their relationships are ending, whether they're career-wise or they're family-wise. What do you have to say to them in regards to not stopping there at that difficult moment and just giving up?
Well, you know, one of my most famous authors is John Maxwell. He has a book called Failing Forward. Many times when I was going through these difficulties and these financial difficulties, I would read books, and that's one of the books that I read was John Maxwell, Failing Forward. And he says failure is not failure until you realize, you say to yourself, well, I failed. But if you fail forward, you know, famous Mary Kay, before she launched her product, and, you know, and she's famous now, but her husband died just before she launched it, but she kept right on going. And in life, you're going to have more failures than you're going to have successes. So if you learn to fail and fail forward, you can make it. For me, I started writing my poems some 20-something years ago, and when I was down or out, I just seemed to just start writing. And I didn't realize I had so much in me until I just went, and the darker it got, the more I wrote.
Now, in your book of poems and prayers, you have several sections in here, and one particularly is an uplifting one on family. You, unlike many young boys, had your mother and your father in your home. You were raised not in the inner city drug crime-infested community, but in a nice country setting. But then you were faced with a lot of difficulty when you moved away from that.
Yes.
How does one survive 6 deaths in 1 year and not lose their mind? A lot of people are turning to negative things like substance abuse, domestic violence, crime, whatever it is, in a negative way. How did you turn that around?
Well, mentioning home life, I believe I was very prepared for life. I was a PK, and my mom,
pastor's kid,
yeah, pastor's kid, and my parents, both of them are elderly. They're married, and my mom now is 86. My father had me at 46, so they raised me to be very independent and to deal with life's difficulties, and don't let the problems. Basically, I say trouble can be on you, but don't allow the trouble to be in you. It's like a insect that lands on you. It's no problem as long as a stinger doesn't get in you. You're okay. You can just brush it off. John Maxwell also says that success is nothing if it doesn't go to your head, and problems are nothing if it doesn't get to your heart. So even dealing with those 6 deaths, I could deal with them. And by the time I got to those 6 deaths, I had dealt with so many other things that I could actually go through them. 3 of those deaths I preached myself. One my uncle, one was a cousin, and the other one was my nephew who had got shot and killed in St. Louis, Missouri at 29 years old. And by that time, I was able to deal with death and go through my grief process and go on with life. Because as John Maxwell said again about failing forward, you have to just learn to deal with failure, but don't allow the failure to get in you. Just deal with it and keep rolling.
As you were preaching those funerals, what do you have to say to people who it seems like they've lost it all? And there's young people that may be watching today too. Does this book transcend all age levels, and is it for everyone in the entire family?
Yes, it's for everyone. There's a section called family, then there's a section called nature, there's a section called songs, there's another section called trouble and triumph, there's one called sunrise, there's another one called moon, or the moon awaits.
Would you mind sharing 1 or 2 poems with us? And as you're getting that, if you're just now tuning in, we are talking with Pastor R. Robert Warren, who is right here in the Midland Empire, just released the book of poems and prayers for the most difficult times, and here to empower our viewers that are dealing with financial distress, deaths, loss, whether it's a dropout of high school or whatever the disappointment is. There's 41 poems and prayers for the most difficult times in life. We're going to put the information on the screen if you would like to have them come speak to your families, to your youth group, or whoever is dealing with a very stressful, depressing moment. Though Pastor R. Robert Warren can be found at www.rrobertwarren.com. That's rrobertwarren.com, or you can contact him directly at 816-294-4727. That's 816-294-4727. And in our close, can you just share one of your poems, and we can see how you're moving through that chaotic moment, and hopefully there's some light at the end.
Yes, yes, and the whole book is set on that, to let people know that there is a light at the end of the tunnel. There is a light, and you can deal with things, and no matter how dark it is, there is light. And this one is called Moving is Better Than Standing Still. 2 stars set in yonder sky, ere I saw them not, I know not why. For my head was down and feeling low as I thought upon the things of woe. Then I stopped and looked upon the luscious hills of the vast beyond. Then I saw the stars so bright, the one on the left and the other right. I thought how marvelous and wondrous it must be to sit so high above the trees. So I stopped again and wondered why not stay beneath this sky? With my soul so vexed, compressed, and down, what would it hurt to stay on this ground? Then I said, I cannot stay, for there are too many lessons along the way. And who's to say what life will feel, the cracks and crevices of life's mending mill? So I'll keep moving and won't look back, for there is a power beyond the stars of fact. And see what lies o'er yonder hill, for moving is better than standing still.
Wonderful, wonderful. What is the key? Can you put your finger on it to turning that failure around? If you could just put it in one sentence, or are there 3 points that stick out in mind, what would you tell our viewers today?
Determination, grit, not giving up. For me, it is the faith that I have in God. That's my basic strength and my basic foundation, that nothing gets no lower than that. But that's the foundation. Above the foundation, to build the house, you have to still have determination, a no-give-up attitude, that I can make it, that there is a light at the end that what I'm going through right now. This present condition is only a condition now. It's only partial. It's not the whole picture. And you have to just keep going. That's how people become success in life, success in their businesses, that they just have a no-quit attitude. Failure is not an option.
Okay. Were there any mentors in your life that helped you face those difficult moments or walked through those valleys with you?
I would say two main ones for sure. Of course, my parents, my mother, my father, who just instilled, like I said before, to be independent, to grow up. I was out of the house at 17 on a football scholarship. And then secondly, I would say the coaches in my life. When I didn't want to, I played football, but I really didn't want to play. I just went out in my senior year, but he pushed me because he wanted me to start. And then when I got to college, the same. My coaches that were there pushing me, and that's part of that becoming a man and growing up. So my parents and then coaches and then other mentors I may have perhaps when I was in college.
Again, if you're just tuning in to our show today, we have Robert Warren, who is a coach, a pastor, a mentor, a director of an inner city learning center, and now a poet. And he has 41 poems and prayers for most difficult times in life. He also will come and speak to any group of people that are dealing with financial stress, marital problems, depression, deaths, and the list go on and on. A book of poem and prayers for the most difficult times in life, and also on audio, CD, spoken word with music to help you get through difficult times. You can go directly to the website. It is rrobertwarren.com. That's rrobertwarren.com, or you can contact him and his staff directly at 816-294-4727. That's 816-294-4727. Pastor Warren, we are so glad that you came on the show today, and we are just grateful to have you here in the Midland Empire to help inspire families through difficult times.
Thank you.
Thank you. And we want to thank you for watching TBN KTAJ 16. I'm Kimberly Warren, your host for Joy in Our Town.